Okay, now my last video was really long, and at the end of it I promised to make a second video talking about what's going on here at the center physically with me. So that's what this is. Hi. I have had a cluster of seizures. I'm through them now, but I had a big cluster of seizures. And during that, I got injured a couple of times and had to go into the emergency room. I had a couple of seizures that didn't do anything, stayed in bed, nothing dramatic, that kind of thing. I did have one seizure where they had to come help me off the floor and back into my chair. That was not fun. And then I had a seizure in my room that required them to come and rescue me. And this one was not good. It was not good. I had the seizure, and I was in my wheelchair, and I remember that I had to go to the bathroom. And if you've ever had a seizure, then you're aware that there is some loss of memory around the seizure event, a little before, a little after, a lot before in some cases, not as much after, but there's memory missing right around that time frame. And I remember that I had to go to the bathroom. I remember getting into my wheelchair, and then the next thing I remember is feet, nurses' feet, and the sound and voices, a lot of voices. And then the cold, hard floor. And the realization that I'd had a seizure. And it turns out I had gone into the bathroom, and on my way back out, I'd had a seizure, and I had fallen out of the wheelchair onto the floor. And I had gotten pinned underneath my wheelchair and seized. And apparently it had been a really long seizure. I can tell if it's a short seizure or a long seizure by how I feel when I come out. And it had been a pretty good length seizure. And somebody had seen it through the door, or I don't know. But when I came to, there was at least 4 people in the room. And the first clear memory that I have as I'm coming out of the seizure is of them arguing, the nurses and the CNAs arguing over which one of them was going to have to do the paperwork for the stupid, and then there was a swear word, girl who decided to throw herself on the floor again just to get some attention. I mean, after all, there are better ways to get attention. This is just swear word stupid. And then they realized that I was starting to come around. And one of them said, well, I'm going to have to go get the lift so we can pick her up off the floor, and left. The other 3 just sat there, talking over me, or stood there, talking over me and around me and about me, but not to me. It was a good several minutes that I laid there before it dawned on me that none of them were going to help me sit up or move in any way. And so I started shifting as much as I could. Remember that my legs don't work. So I kind of crawled. I'm going to show you. See if you can see around my wheelchair here. There's the main door, and you can see the bathroom door is right next to it. I was on the floor there, and I had pulled myself with my arms over here to my nightstand, and I used the nightstand to kind of get myself into a semi-sitting position. And because it was a really long seizure, I was very out of it, feeling very dizzy, and a little like I was going to throw up. So I crawled to the top of that nightstand, and I just kind of put my head down to make the room stop spinning. And I'm hearing them talk over me. Well, can't she just get back into somebody said, can she just get back into the bed? And another nurse had said something about they didn't think I could walk, And another nurse said, well, she's self-sufficient. One of the other nurses said that she didn't need any help, and just to peek in once in a while and make sure she was okay. But nobody was talking to me. And then somebody said something about, well, can she just get into bed? Can you stand up? Can she stand up? Hey, can she stand up? Not can stand up. Can she stand up? And she, hey, can she stand up, like 3 times? I didn't think she was talking to me, because if you're talking to a person, you don't say, hey, can she stand up? You say, hey, that, the person's name, can you stand up? Or even, hey, can you stand up, if you don't know their name. You don't say, hey, can she? So I didn't think they were talking to me, and I didn't feel good, so I didn't answer. Well, the lady that went to get the lift must have returned to the door, because she shouted, hey, Renee, answer them. Well, I didn't say anything because I had this swarming headache, and my head still wasn't clear, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And so I didn't immediately answer, and the woman at the door said, look, I know you're up. This is stupid. Just answer the question. There was a swear word in there, and we're going to skip that. And I still didn't answer, but I started to lift my head up so that I could answer. And oh my gosh, was my head spinning. I truly thought I was going to puke. And then she shouted, look, if you don't get over yourself and stop this act, we're all just going to leave and leave you sitting on the floor. And then she muttered something about having to go find the sling that went to the machine, and stomped off. I mean, she was furious. She was furious that I hadn't answered. And by this point, I'm about ready to cry. And I feel so stupid. This place seems to make me cry a lot, and I am not a crier. I don't cry. But this place seems to make me cry. And so I slowly turned my head and looked at them. And I said, no, I can't stand up. I do not have use of my legs yet, so I require help. I am capable of transferring myself from my bed to my chair, from my chair to the bathroom, and back again. That's my extent of motion, which is why they said I don't need as much help. But I cannot get off the floor. And one of the girls rolled her eyes, like really dramatically. And at this point, my heart just broke. Everything just fell apart. There was nothing left. And I just started to cry. And I said, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be a bother. I don't mean to cause trouble. I don't mean to be a pain. I don't mean to be in the way. I'm so sorry. It's okay. Just leave me here on the floor where I cannot cause you any more trouble. It's fine. I can't fall or get hurt if I'm down here. Just leave me on the floor. And I'm sorry I'm such a bother. It's okay. And I'm just crying. And this must have jarred one of the 3 nurse CNAs, whatever, because she immediately started going, oh, sweetie, it's okay. You're not a bother. And I could hear the voice just dripping with sarcasm as she's doing this. She's trying to be nice. She's trying to be sweet. But she didn't mean a word of it. And she rubs my arm, and she rubs my shoulder, and she's trying to be sympathetic. Oh, sweetie, sweetie, sweetie. She didn't mean a word of what she was saying, not a word. And I'm just crying. And at this point, I've just given up. My whole body's just numb and slumped. And I just don't care anymore. I don't say another word. My whole body's just jello. and I just don't care. And the nurse that had gone to get the rest of the sling parts to lift me up comes back, and they roll this, what basically amounts to like a potato sack. They stick this bag under me, and they hook it up to this machine, and they lift me into the air so that I'm dangling in this sack. And then they drop me onto the bed, and they undo the straps, and they roll me out of the sling like I'm, again, like a potato, just roll you right out onto the bed. And they just leave. And they just leave me lying there on the bed, feeling like a broken, useless, I'm sorry, miserable nothing. And all I could think was, they treated me like I was nothing. They called me names, and they hurt me and made me feel worthless and broken, and they made me feel like garbage. And I'm the one apologizing for causing them to have to do their jobs. And that was the worst feeling I'd ever had, because they made me feel like I was trash, and in their way. I'm sorry. And it was the worst feeling in the world. And when I had a seizure the next day, and I fell out of bed, when I came to, the first thing that fell out of my mouth was, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And the first shift nurses and CNAs were just on top of things, and they were, "We're going to fix this," and, "Oh honey, this is not your fault. Don't you ever apologize for having a seizure. It's not like you can control it. It's not like you did it on purpose. Don't you ever apologize." And instead of rolling me into that stupid bag and lifting me with a crane, they rolled my wheelchair over, and they got a couple of really strong guys and from physical therapy, and they just lifted me up, and they just put me into my chair, and then I was able to get into my bed, and they made me feel human. And I just don't understand what the difference is. Don't ever let somebody make you feel like you're worthless, because you're not. Don't ever let somebody make you feel like what's happening to you is fake, or like you're putting on a show, because you're not. What's happening to you is real, and don't let them get away with treating you like that. You are worth more.
Hi all, I just wanted to let you know that after this video and the last video that Renee did, Gateway Rehab in Hickory, North Carolina decided they were going to release her. Mostly because I think they didn't want to put up with her anymore. Because of everything that had happened, especially when they almost killed her. So she is at home. This happened in November. We've been really not well in doing our videos, collecting them and putting them together and so forth. Apologize for that. But we've got everything together. We need to get the word out about PNES. Most of the people that are afflicted with this terrible seizure disorder like to call it NESD, non-epileptic seizure disorder, because that sounds better. If you add the pseudo in front of it, then doctors, nurses, everybody like that thinks that that means it's stupid, it's all in your head, you're faking it, and all that kind of thing, when it's quite obvious that you're not. So I wanted to make this video to explain what has happened to her since then. She has been home for the last couple of months. I recommend that if you're living anywhere near Hickory, Lenoir, Granite Falls, anywhere around Lenoir. Oh, I'm sorry, Gateway Rehab is in Lenoir, not Hickory. Do not go there. Do not send your elderly parents there or relatives there. The food is no good, and they treat you like dirt. And Renee never did get her dog to stay with her. They would not let her, even after two notes from both her doctors, the orthopedic and her regular doctor, saying please let her have the dog because she needs the dog to help her, to warn her about her seizures. They never did let her have the dog. So the best way they could do to solve the problem of her having seizures and so forth was to get rid of her. They sent her home. Can she walk yet? No. Can she stand on her own? No. She is still doing exercises by herself. She is gotten to the point where she can stand a few seconds on her own. But other than that, she has movement in her legs. She just cannot stand for very long yet. Her legs are not used to her own body weight. So it's one day at a time. Thanks for listening, and hit this like and the subscribe button. Help us get this word out of PNES, so it can help other people. Thank you.